What up YouTubers, CarJunkeez in the house. So this is part 8 of the compound TD5 build, and then in the last one you've seen I put the transfer box on and got all the props on and everything and rebuilt the transfer box, did all the mounts in the correct positions and everything, so I'm happy with all that. So this one, starting off doing the head, had a delivery and it's my head studs, look at them beauties. So I was getting them off Dean Lapham, but he was waiting for a back order. So I found a guy called Kieran Huxley. He'd got some off Dean. So he had some in stock. So I got these off him. So nice one for them. I think he must have something to do with Gwyn Lewis because they come from Gwyn Lewis's. So nice one for posting them, Gwyn. Well, look at them beauties. Belting them, aren't they? So I can't wait to get them in. Just waiting for my AMC head off my brother, so I'll get that chucked on when I get that. And then I've got the ARP washers and the ARP nuts there. So yeah, I mean, they might be good, these. I think they're the ones what Jose uses. So they might be aircraft standards. So hopefully they should have a bit of clamping force for my head when I put a load of boost through it. So yeah, I'm buzzing with them. Well, I've got my head. It's an AMC one off a breaker, and it was running. It was running all right, and just got a bit of wear like they do, you know, on these lobes, all pitted. The hardened surfaces gone through on the cam and on them rollers there. So I'm going to strip it all anyway. So I'll get all that off that rocker, put a new one on, put a different cam in it and that. Get all the injectors out, strip it all down anyway. But it's there, and it's a 10p AMC, so a bit stronger than a standard one. Sort of packed out with washers and that. It's usually a sign of the threads have gone and they put a longer bolt in. So I'm going to whip that off and have a look. Yeah, it's all right. Happy days, mate. But there's something in there. What is that? Can't get it. Don't think that should be in there, should it? And it hasn't got the gauze filter in there. Should have a gauze filter in there and there's nothing in it. There's the end of it. See if we can get that out. Well, it come out, luckily. Bent that. And oh, that's cracked there. I won't be needing it anyway, but another thing. So yeah, it's just where that little bracket goes there. Someone must have bent the bolt and rammed it in. It's just chipped this casting off here. Don't really matter though, I don't need that. So I just spotted this is 13 milli. So obviously someone's put that in for a reason, and I hope it's not because the thread's knackered. So I might take that one out first and have a butcher's. I think it's all right. Probably just didn't have another bolt, or it snapped and they just put that one in. There's another close shave. But I think I might get a torch down there, but I think it is all right. You can see on that lobe there. Just put it on this. Oh, it's all pitted and that. It's like the hardening goes, doesn't it, when they get a bit of crap on him. That one's even worse. Look at the state of that one. It's really bad, that one. So yeah, the cam's the same where they've been rolling on for the injectors. So I've got one of them anyway, and I've got a cam, so I can put that in, not a problem. So I'll get all them injectors out now as well. Can't get it. Sound. So yeah, number one lobe, you can see it there, it's all pitted. Right, it's gone on that roller as well there. I think it's number 3. I'll roll that over. But I'm going to split the head anyway. Looks alright anyway at the where the copper washers have been sitting at the bottom of the injectors. All the seats look alright. So it's looking like it's going to be a good head. So I've numbered all the valves up because I'm going to take all them out as well. But I can see something to do with the guide where it's seating inside the head there. So I'm going to have to examine that. And that just happens to be where that random piece of metal was on the inlet. So I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to flip it over, split the head, get the cam out anyway. Different bolt in there as well, which I've had to crack off because it was rounding off. I don't know what the score is with that because it looks like it's got a bit of crap on it. I'll get all the valves out now. Seems alright, just very coked up on the exhaust valves. So you look, got a very large build up on a lot of the exhaust valves. I can just touch that, it all falls apart. So I don't know whether that's because it's been stud on its side or what, but they all look alright, the seats. We're just a bit worried about that there on the first one underneath, but it's alright, they're all like that. So I think we're alright. So yeah, on the cam, it's in quite bad shape. Big knurled up bit there, that's all pitted. And number 1 as well, all the surface is gone. So it's not the best. So I'll chuck a new cam in it as well. So yeah, other than my random piece of metal that was in the inlet, which it's been running with, and my snap glow plug, which came out dead easy, it's all right. So like I say, I'm gonna do a bit of mild porting in the head anyway, and then I'll lap all the valves back in, clean them all up, put a cam in it. I've got to mess with the injectors with the nozzles. I'll put a new rocker shaft on it, the new rollers on, and then give it a good clean up and that. But yeah, not too bad that. Happy days. Bit random that though, isn't it? And it not having that little gauze filter on the fuel regulator. Yeah, behind the O-ring, you should have a little top hat gauze filter, which is probably about 1.25 inches deep, which goes in there, which is dead expensive for no reason whatsoever. But I think I've got one of them anyway in good nick. So I'll put one of them in as well. But yeah, it's not too bad other than that. Like I say, it is an AMC head, so the seats are a bit more meat on them, isn't they? So yeah, not too bad that. Happy days, mate. Popped all the valves in a piece of cardboard just when I clean them up and that, I don't get them mixed up. So I've got it in the parts cleaner, I'll give that a good cleaning, and the top part as well. So yeah, everything's good. It's all in good nick. I think all I'll do is where you get the inlet valve seats, got a sharp lip on the underside, so I can get my bird bit and just smooth that off and do a bit of work on the inlet port. Not too much though. I don't think I'll do anything with the exhaust port because you don't really gain much on the exhaust port anyway, and it feels all right. And then I might just do a little bit, see if I need to match the inlet ports to the manifold and just do a bit of cleaning up. But other than that, not too much. So cleaned up all the valves as well. Didn't come up too bad really. Just got to grind them all in, lap them all in with some paste when I've done the head. So do a bit of porting on the head now, I think. So I've got my head there on the bench, and then I've got my die grinder. I've just got a big coarse bit in it for the time being. I've got another one there as well. And then, like I say, on the inlets, it's just right at the bottom of the seat there. It's very blunt, like a big step all the way around. So I'm just going to take a bit off that. And like I say, I'm not going to do loads on it. And then I can just finish off with these rolls then and do a bit on the inlet. Like I say, I'm going to see how matched they are to the inlet manifold, these ports. I'll have to use some paper and mark it up and that. And then if they need matching, I'll match that and just clean all the casting up really. Nothing, you know, over the top. So I'll get on with that. So I've done a bit of work on the bottom bit, and it's just getting that transition there, you know, where you can't really see it because of the light. Getting that a bit smoother there, rather than just a big massive step. So yeah, it's getting there. I'm just going to flip it over and do the top part of it now, because it's easier to get to it on each side. But yeah, it's smoothing out nicely, that. So I've done the inlets now. Done a bit on the ports at the back as well, but I haven't matched it to the manifold yet. But yeah, it's all nice and smooth now. If you can see it. You can see it a bit there, can't you? So it should flow a lot better. I've just put little caps on top of the guides. I was going to shape the guides, but I don't think I'll bother because I don't think it'll make much difference. But yeah, they're all done. So I might just have a quick look at the exhaust ones. I'm not going to do too much to them, like. I've only smoothed that off just to get rid of the casting marks and that. Can't really see it on here. So yeah, I'll break into the exhaust ones now and have a quick look at them, but you don't really gain much on the exhaust anyway. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with the exhaust because it feels quite smooth anyway. So I'm going to just leave them because I won't gain anything. So take all the tape off and give it a good clean up again. So yeah, I just need to take a little bit out here and there. Not much though, just a little slight radius, because when you put this on the manifold, flip it over and match it up, you've got quite a bit all the way around, a good 1 mil, 1.5 mil. Now I could open that up a bit, but it's the same all the way down, so there's no point. So because that's slightly smaller, I don't want no ledges on here. So I'm just going to take a little bit off, just so that will go into that without hitting a step. So nothing much, just a little bit. So I've just bolted that on centralised, proper, a couple of bolts. And you can see just like some bottom edges. So if I just mark that, where it needs just a bit out on all of them, and I can get my die grinder and do a bit of work on it. It's not much, like I say, just so it's not hitting a step. Yeah, so you can just see them little bits. I've just got to nib a bit out of them. So I've done that now. Just doing it with the bare bit first, and finishing it off with one of the abrasive rolls. So that's all right now. Like I say, I've just done it to them blue lines. So really, I could actually take a bit off this and match it to this at a later date if I wanted to. But that'll do for now. I'll get it cleaned again. So I'm going to grind all the valves in now. Got my paste there, my coarse and my fine. Got my little doodads there. I'll pick the best one. And obviously that's number one at the front. So I'll flip them upside down so I don't get them wrong. Because they haven't got the markings on them because I've cleaned them. So I'll lap all them in now. them all in with the fine, and most of the inlets come out all right, but one of them is just a little bit too pitted for my liking, and all the exhaust ones are pitted, so I'm going to do all them in coarse, check them, and then do them in fine again. Loads need coming off these exhaust ones, so I had to put a bolt and modify the end of it to get a bit of speed. Works a treat. Then I'll do it with some fine again later on. So I've done them all on course, and the seats were all right. It's just that all the exhaust valves were quite pitted. So really, I should have got them done on a stone, but I haven't got anything like that here set up. So I've done them on course, and I'm going to do them all on fine, but by hand this time, and that'll do me. So 5 hours later, they're all done. Yeah, so I did it with the fine again. So get rid of all that, don't want to see it for ages. But yeah, they're looking good now. So there's no pits in any of them. And all the seats are dead flat as well. Can't really see them, can you? But yeah, happy with them, they'll do me then. So yeah, I've done them right near the edge of the gasket now on every port, and then what I'll probably do when I'll probably peg the gasket, so I'll either put rings on a few of these and into the manifold, or I'll do separate pegs somewhere else, just so it's dead centralised, you know, because there's still a bit of movement in it even when all the studs are in. And then what I'll do now is I'll flip that over and put it on the manifold, and I'll get that dead central. And then what I'll do is I'll blend it in a bit, but I won't do it as much because I'd rather have this slightly smaller than that and the gasket, so it doesn't hit like a step. So I'll just mark it up all the way around. It's not that much to take off, so I'll not quite go up to the edge of the red and then just blend it in. So I'll start off with the burr bit first. So I've opened them up, like I say, just before the outer part had all the red markings. And now I'm just going to do it. I took a bit of the casting marks off as well inside the ridges. So I'm just going to go over now with the rolls, the abrasive rolls. I'll just get a little bit deeper inside with this one, just to try and get them burrs and the casting marks off further down, and that'll do. So I've just done it the other way up. So I get this important bit, this curvature here, and just smoothed it right down the back there. And then the sides, took all that bad casting marks off. There's quite some big ones, especially on this one. There's a right big lump sticking out. So it make a bit of difference, that. So I'm happy with that now. Just got to deburr it and then just clean the face and give it a good rinse out again. And I've done a little bit more on the head as well, just on the throat there. Just opened it up ever so slightly. So I'm happy with that as well. So all I'm going to do on this now is just clean up the injector seats and then give it a good clean out, and then put the valves back in then. Just going to whip all the exhaust manifold studs out and replace them, because standard ones are very, very short. They only go in the head a very little bit. So I'm going to replace them with something like that, but a little bit deeper thread and less of a shoulder on it. So all them are out, and I've never understood why they only do them 10mm thread that goes in, because you can you can get 22mm in there. I mean, they must be thinking, oh, just pull the first few threads out and then you got more deeper down, but don't really work like that, does it? I think I'd rather have one snap than knacker the threads, so I don't know. So yeah, I'm going to be putting some deeper ones in anyway, and then I'm not using the original exhaust manifold anyway, so I'm just looking at the ports. I'd like them round really, because I'd be using some steam pipe schedule stuff to make my manifold, and obviously that's round. So I'm going to have a look how much meat's on it, and see if I can just take a little edge off or do something anyway. And when I do make a manifold for it, when I make my flange, I'll probably cut it out as one long length, and then I'll split it. I'll probably do 3, 2, and then do a split, because that's the bad point of having such a long manifold flange. It all expands because it's longer, more than like a 4-cylinder one, and that's why it warps and it pulls the studs. So I'll do that. I'll do a cut down it and split it once I've made the manifold. Yeah, I was thinking about the 3-angle valve seat job, but on the diesels you sort of like direct it to one side for swirl, and then they've got like a lip round here, so it kicks it round and does like a bit of a flipping tornado with the air to get the swirl going, so it compresses and then it concentrates it in a little combustion area in the centre of the piston. So you can't mess with that, and the bowl and the valve seat isn't wide enough for another angle, so just had to smooth it in. And then the top bit here, I can't mess with that, so it's a no-go on that. And then on the exhaust side, it's designed pretty well out of factory, so I've just polished it up a bit and not done nothing with it, so I think it'll be all right. That same with the valves as well. I was going to undercut them, but you can't really, because there's nothing on them. It's not too bad as it is. That's the inlet. When you look on the exhaust, see, that's designed quite well anyway. I could do a bit of an undercut on that, but I don't think I'd benefit from it much, so I'm not bothering. So on the exhaust manifold ports, I've just put gasket on, just marked it up. I'm going to take that off. I'm just going to open it up ever so slightly and then just clean it up inside. So I'll do a bit with the burr bit first, take a lot of the meat off, and then just do the rolls just to tidy it up. Yeah, and like I said, the shape of the ports, because they're oval and I'm making a manifold and I'd like them round, can't really do that because there's not enough meat there to take it out, because there won't be enough sealing surface at the top there. I could at the bottom, but won't benefit from it, because when you get the exhaust valve, it's going up, and the important bit's that top bit there. So if that was rounded, it'd be better, but I'm not doing it. That's it, it's done. I could just basically I've just not really took much off actually. I've just neatened all the casting marks up really, and then just gone over with the little abrasive rolls more than anything, just to clean it up. So that should be all right. It's got all that. It's got to blast it all out with airline, and then I'll give it a good clean again in the parts cleaner, and then blow that through and do the same with that. So I've been measuring compression distance on the injectors, both on the 15p and on the 10p. You've probably seen it on my last video of the injectors. So I've discovered on the 15p, you've got 10mm travel. And then on the 10p, you've only got 9mm travel on compression. So it only compresses the spring 9mm. So obviously I'm going to struggle with fuel delivery. I'm looking for nozzles and that. But I had a message off Darkside and they've been helpful. They've even offered to get on board with it. But they've been helpful with some information about the nozzles, and they even think that their 100% nozzles won't flow enough fuel. And obviously if I want to go above 100% nozzles, then I'm going to have more fuel delivery. Well, looking at the injectors on these, I've measured the plunger piston diameter, and these are only 7mm diameter. And then Darkside have done that nice build, what they've done on that T5, where they've pushed that engine to the extremes, and they've got some big horsepower on that. So go and check their channel out, have a look at that, because it's a beautiful build. And he's using, well, I think at their standard diameter on the PD injectors, they're an 8mm diameter, or they might have upgraded them, I'm not too sure. I'm not that familiar with the PD injectors. So looking at these, I don't think I'd be able to get these reamed out and oversized pistons put in. I don't know, I might be wrong, but I don't know anyone that's willing to do that or messes about with this part of the injector. But Darkside do the nozzles, and they say that the Farad ones are good because they've used, you know, like hundreds of them in their PD builds and sold hundreds of them. So I might end up using some of their 100% ones, or see if they can get some a little bit bigger. But then I'm struggling with the piston part of it, because if I go bigger than 100%, then I've got to have the fuel delivery as well. And I'm going to struggle with the 7mm diameter on these pistons. And like with this build of mine, you must remember it's on a budget, because I haven't got a load of money like these big companies. So there's a standard lifter. Obviously, when you put them in, they compress right down and then pump up with the oil. But I want to get the right measurements for the valve lift. So I've made a solid one there, I've measured it. I've just spun it up in there. It's only a temporary one, just made it out of a bolt. So that fits in the rocker nice, you know, just like the original one. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drop that in and then mock up the head and see what the lift is. So I've got this head to mock it up in. So I'll just took one of the hydraulic lifters out, the number 2 there. So I'll put my little solid one in. So that fits in there nicely. And let's get the rocker, pop that on, then put this cam in. And then I'll put carrier on, and then I can measure the lift, then I'll put it on its side and just measure the lift. But what I'll do also is, once I've measured all this, I can work the ratio out of the rocker in relation to, you know, the cam lobe and the valve lift, because then I can do my maths then for working out what I want to grind off the camshaft to get my desired lift. But what I'll do is, while it's like this, I'll plonk this head on top of the engine, put the sprocket on. I'll not bolt it up and torque it down, I'll just get it nice. I'll probably do it without a gasket, you know, without an head gasket, so it gives me just that little bit more extra clearance. Because what I'm going to do, put some like plasticine in or something, and I'll turn it over and I'll see how much clearance I've got between the piston crown and then the valves while they're opening. So if I do it without an head gasket, it's a little bit safer. So it gives me a bit more tolerance. So I'll do that as well. So I've got my dial gauge set up there. Just got it rigged up on a little bracket at the back there. And I've zeroed it. But you can see it's just protruding the valve ever so slightly out of the head. That's because I've made the solid lift just slightly bigger. It doesn't really matter because I'm only measuring the overall lift. So it's better slightly bigger than slightly smaller, because if there was clearance then it wouldn't give me a true reading. So I'm just going to turn the cam over. It's at the bottom at the minute, and then count when it starts getting up to the lift part of it, how much lift it's got. It's going now. So I've done that, and it's actually got 9.43 millimeters lift, which is a bit more than I expected actually. I thought it was around 8. So that's not bad lift that. So really, I want to try and get another mil. So like 10.5 would be nice. I don't know whether I'd be able to go quite that far though. So I've done it a few times and averaged it out. So 9.45 millimeters is the lift. So I'm going to check it on the exhaust as well now. But I think they're exactly the same anyway, because I've measured the cam previously. So I've got it on the exhaust one there, and I've put the solid lifter in and got it zeroed. So I'll do the same again. So yeah, as I thought, it's exactly the same, 9.45. So both inlet and exhaust valve lift on a TD5 are 9.45 millimeters. So now I can compare that to the measurements what I did with the cam lift then, and work out the ratio of the rockers. So I wanted an eye lift cam for a TD5. I don't know anyone who does them. So other than getting standard one reground and spending a fortune on a company to do it for me, which I don't want to do, I thought, well, all I want to do really is do a regrind, but I'm just going to take it off the back edge of the lobe on the inlet and on the exhaust. And in doing that, if I just take it off the back edge, I'll increase the lift, because the hydraulic pumper would have to pump up more when it gets to the top end of the lobe. And actually, if you're careful, you can actually increase the duration. You know, if you just do it where all this is the same level and don't take any off when it starts rising, it actually increases the duration ever so slightly. I mean, obviously, I've got to get the measurements dead right and everything, work out the lift, and then I have to get some different springs, you know, valve springs, and I might have to pack out the hydraulic lifter. You can shim them at the bottom. I might not have to, it depends how much they can lift by, but I can work all that out once I've done the grind anyway. So I thought I might have a go at it myself. So other than like, I was going to set up a bench grinder. I've got a couple of bench grinders, try and rig a ghetto set up on them. I couldn't do it because obviously this had lived too close to the bench grinder, and there's not enough room for the wheel to sort of protrude into where I wanted to grind. So that went out the window. And I thought I could use my lathe and do a ghetto rig on that and put a wheel up, like a grinding wheel on another motor and that. So I forgot about that, doing that. So then I bought an old motor off eBay, cheapo jobby. It was classed as not working. I like the old motors because they're pretty robust and they last forever, don't they? But it's a weird one, this. It's only a 16th of an horsepower, and it's like a split phase. So it has like a running phase and a starting phase. So basically I've got them wired up to 2 plugs there. I had to put these wires in because it was all old wiring which had sort of rotten away and that, so I soldered some new wires in. So if you put both phases on, because you've got a starting phase, it'll run, and then you turn the starting phase off and it keeps running then, because it's offset, you know, to kick it over. So I can just do a funky switch. They normally have like a funky relay, which goes on the running winding, and when the coil goes through that, when the current drops, it disconnects the starting winding. So it's like a simple setup, but I might just have it on like a 3-way switch or something, just something simple. So I thought I could use that. And then I've got my old bearings, which were my idler bearings off my TD5, then what I took off. So I thought I'll just chuck them in a couple of bits of wood. So just done an old cut in them, chuck them in there. Then I've spun these up on lathe just as packers, so I can put them in there. And then I've got a bolt which fits perfectly through them. And then I've got an old grinding wheel there, which I'm just going to flat off there with like a diamond facer. So I can put all that together and bolt it up. And I thought I could run that motor and then do a pulley system with an old fan belt. So I spun up a couple of wheels. This is just an old bit of plastic I had lying about. So that can be used in between all this lot to one side, which fits in the belt perfectly there, because I just spun that in the lathe. It was actually a piece of that stuff what you put down when you drive machinery on. I just did an old cut through it. So that come in handy. And then I spun up another pulley here. I just got to drill it out and put like a bolt through, you know, to put it on here. So that'll go on there like that. I'm going to bolt that up there. So I'm going to rig all that up. And then I'll get my cam. I was like, well, how do I mount that? What am I going to do with that, with bearings and stuff? So I just got an old carrier, you know, off the top of an head. So if I chuck that in that, and then rig something up over the top of that, and then I can have something to turn this. And I was thinking, because I've only got to actually take a back of the, well, none of the top of the lobe, just all the back edge. I can have something here which I can turn, and I can have like stops on it, and then I can mark this up so I don't go any further, and mark the stops up and then adjust it for each lobe what I'm doing. So it's going to be a right ghetto rig setup. So I'll chuck it all together and see what I can concoct anyway. So that's my contraption. It's all on now. I've got the wheel all set up there as well. So if we just turn it on. Turning all right. Proper contraption, innit? Like if I turn it over upside down. Get rid of that a minute. I've just put this rocker with the bolt going through and just cut it out on the wood as well. So my idea is to have make use of everything what I've got. So old rocker shaft, I'll have that somewhere at the back there mounted, and then obviously it's going to be going through here as well, so I can use it as a slider through there. So I'm just going to put a screw through there and pack it out with a little nut, so it'll slide left and right. So I'll have it fixed either end, and then the shaft will be there, and I can just move it from lobe to lobe, and obviously it'll pivot on it as well, you see. So yeah, make use of all the bits of stuff I've got. Then I've got to make something on that, what I can turn. So anyway, I'll get all this mounted up anyway and see how it all fits. So that's the idea. I've just got a couple of little brackets there which I've made out of a bit of angle, and then that's just mimicking what that part is there in the middle. So obviously that will slide all the way along like that. And I'm just going to weld a run there, weld a run there. But when this is on, because I won't be able to get it on otherwise. So do that, but I'm going to set it so it's dead precise on the measurements, you know, from this face and back on both sides. so it's all true. So I'll get on with that. So I've just welded them on now, them ends, and little brackets on that end as well. So yeah, it just slides along now, like that. I can put it on ever lower one, and just drop it down on the lobe. So I'm just going to make a little bracket on here now, so it can run along a flat piece of metal here with a little bolt as an adjuster for the height. So I'm going to do that next. But yeah, it's not too bad, that. Look at that. Slides along nicely, that. So I've nearly done it now. My funky mechanism. So it's all on there. And it slides along dead easy like I showed you. And I've got all my adjuster there, what I can do the height with. So when you bring it down, I can lock that off with that lock nut. And then I've got it on this funky little mechanism here, and I ended up putting 2 stops in, one there and one there. And then you can undo these and spin them round, or you can actually undo all 3 of these little 10 millis and take the whole thing off. But I've set this one, so if you look on that lobe there, so if I turn this, it'll go all the way to that stop. So that's still on the back edge there, and then it starts rising. And then if you turn it the other way, it goes all the way to the other stop there, on there, and then it's still on the back edge there, and it just starts rising there. So when that's down, you can adjust the height of what you want to grind it to with that there by undoing it to lower it onto the lobe. And then when you turn it on, you can just keep going like that to grind the back edge to whatever you set this with. Obviously, I'm going to put my dial gauge on here and then measure it all and work it all out before I do it. But yeah, so I've got it all on the power. So when I turn it on, because it's got that dual winding, you just do that and press that button and it spins it up. So that all works good. That's all right. And it seems all nice and there's no vibrations or anything, and it's all flat with the wheel and everything. So it seems all good, mate. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make some little covers for over here so you don't get all the grinding dust in there, and I might make something underneath there just so it catches it all at the bottom there. So I'll do that, and then I'll do some measuring up and I'll get a grind on the go. But I'll take this off here and show you what it's like. So yeah, like with them stops, you can just adjust them as you please. So you can leave that loose and then just set it to where you want it, and then you can just lock it off when you've got it in position. And then same with the other one, you can just undo it and then move that anywhere. So you can just set that to wherever you want that one as well, and then you can just lock that one off as well. So then you've got your stops then, and then the whole thing comes off. Just the 10 millis. And all it is a bit of bar, which I've just welded to a lump of metal which is spun up in the lathe. And then these are actually one nut which I've just split and then turned in the lathe. It's like a hub nut. So yeah, nice and simple, but it works anyway. So the contraption, so I've got the cam in it, and I've just marked up which is the inlet in blue and which is the exhaust in red. So you've got inlet, exhaust, inlet, exhaust, inlet, exhaust, inlet, exhaust, and then finally inlet and exhaust. Because I'm only doing the inlet, well, I might be only doing the inlet. I've marked them up, so just to get it, so you know that it's coming up to the top of it, well, the start of the lobe. I've put my dial gauge on there and I've zeroed it. So on that lobe there, as it starts rising, you just want to back it off just back to 0 and then mark it. So I'm going to put a bit of tape on there, on the just at the start of the lobe, and then if you go back the other way, just before it starts coming off 0, there, you want to back it off to 0 again and put a piece of tape on the other side there. So I'm just going to tape that up now. Tape that up. So that's just marked just as it starts to rise on the lobe on both ways. So then what I can do is I can slide this along. So that's dropped down on that lobe there. And then I'm going to set my stops on this just as the wheel just starts touching the tape. So I'll do it one way and then I'll do it the other way, and I'll just set these stops there. So I'll set them stops there, them 2 stops, so that just as it starts rising it stops. So you can see it there one way, and then the other, it won't go to the rise of the lobe, it'll only stay on the low all the way around. So the idea is you just keep doing that as it's grinding, and you've got to set your height. So I want to take 0.5 mil off the back edge of the lower part of the cam only, and obviously you've got a difference in height between that, and I've worked out I've got to take 0.2 millimeters off it. So I want to put my feeler gauge underneath here as the actual grinding wheel is resting on the low point, and then just have a gap here of 0.3 millimeters, because plus the 0.2 millimeters equals 0.5 millimeters. So I'll just set that and then lock it off now. Got that set and locked off, and as it's resting on, so the grinding wheel's resting on the lower part of the lobe there, and the feeler gauge fits under there nice and snug, and that is set up now. So I'll just get the little covers on there just to protect all the grinding dust, and then I'll give it a whirl. Now if it's not really sparking, that means it's pretty much at right height, that. Or right depth, so that looks alright, that, to me. Not too bad at all, that. So I'll check the transition later, you know, where it goes from the curvature to the lobe. But what I might do now is I might just check with my dial gauge and compare the lift on this lobe to, like, you know, the standard one. So I'll do that now, innit? But yeah, it's working all right. I just find this motor bogs down a little bit if you do the full weight on it. So if you start it off, I just hold it off a little bit and then just gradually let it fall, you know, and then until it gets closer to it, then it'll just do it with its own weight then. But other than that, it's working bob on. Well, chuffed with that. So I've got this on like the standard one, the other inlet just over to the left of the one what I've just done. Zeroed it on the dial gauge. So we'll measure the lift. 1, 2, 3, 4.8, 4.83, 4.835. Right, so I'll move it over to the one what I've just done now. Take the tape off and that. I've got that moved over to the lobe what I've just done. Got it zeroed on its lowest point. So I turn it and then count how much lift I've got on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.28. Yeah, 5.28. So that's pretty much where I want. So really, that should give me around 1 millimeter lift, because it's around 0.5 mil more lift on the lobe, and with the rocker, that times it by 2 because it's a ratio of 2 to 1. So then the valve lift will be 1 mil. So that's bang on, that. It's not bad at all. And then it's just the transition. I don't know if you'd be able to see it on that. Tell you what, let me get you off that. So yeah, you can just see the transition where it needs cleaning up. See it there? But you know what? I'm going to have a go at doing it just straight with the wheel with me holding it up, because it feels quite controllable, you know, when you're doing it. So I'm going to have a go at doing that now. See if I can get it. That'll do me. That is absolutely bang on, mate. Don't know what all the fuss is about. Oh, you've got to see it really. Try and get you lower down. It's hard to tell because a bit of it isn't scored and a bit of it is from the grind, but once that's polished, I think that'll be bang on, that. That is not bad at all. Bit of a polish on that. And that is good to go. Happy days, mate. Not bad, that. Right, I think I'm going to get this cam out of this and chuck it in a head. And then I'll just see, you know, what the lift difference is between that one and the standard one with them solid lifters that I've made. So I'll do that. So I've got them two solid lifters, so I'm going to put them both in, and then this will give me the maximum lift. So I've popped that cam back in, that AMC head, that spare one what I've got. So number one is standard, and I've put that solid lifter in again, so that's number one, the standard one on the inlet there, and then we go over to number two. That's the one what I've done the grind on, yeah, and I put the solid lifter in there. So that's all set up, and then I've got the dial gauge on number one there, but the only thing is this dial gauge will only go to 10, so I'm gonna go over that anyway when I do number two. So I'll pop you in here a minute. And then I'll wind it over and try and count and get you over there a bit so you're not in the way. So this will be on number one, the standard one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just over 9.4 on that one. So, as I move that over to number two, but like I say, with this only reading 10, it might not do it. But, let's try it anyway. And zero that. Right, that's zeroed. Let's get over to number the rock in between. Right, we just started now, so just back that off a bit. Yeah, the rock in the transition from number one to number two. So there's not. Going too fast, this. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.4. There we go. So that is 1 mil lift. So that is absolutely bang on. That's all right, that, isn't it? So it works absolutely perfect. But while that's on its maximum lift, that if you look at the top of the rocker, if I can get in there, you see where it's going over. Let me try and get some light in there as well as the camera. There we go. So I'll zoom in on the top of where the valve is. And you see, it's just going over the valve. I don't really like that. It's not a lot, but I'm worried that it might even throw the rocker off. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to see on the camera. Try and move over a bit more. Might be able to see it a bit better from over here. Can't get this flipping light right. Let me go over here. So you see what I mean? It's quite steep on the edge of it. It's a good quarter of the top of the valve tip. I don't really like that, and that's because it's going at a steeper angle, you know, the rocker. So I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to rock it like that or not. But it is working and the spring is compressing. Obviously I'm going to change the springs anyway. But yeah, we'll see anyway. But I know I can get the lift by doing that grind, and the grind isn't that hard to do, I don't think. So I might do a cam anyway. Do a cam and then we'll go from there. But yeah, it's working anyway. I'm chuffed about that. So yeah, one mil lift just off that grind. Not too bad, mate. Yeah, because I did my orange thing the other day and put a water pump on it and it was absolutely disintegrated, had no fins on it. I thought I'd better do this one. So I've just took the lid off and it's not dead bad, even though it does look dead bad. But one of the fins is still missing off the end. So I'm glad I got into it. So I've got a new one there anyway. Like I say, same as the other one, OEM. So I'll chuck that on while I'm at it. It was actually all right, actually. Just a bit crusty, but not rotten. But it's having a new in it anyway. Seems I've already got it. So that's the pump all on. Yeah, I forgot to whip the power steering pump off the water pump and do that dreaded little connection at the back where it slots into the pump, because they usually wear out then, but I'll give it a good clean. It was right full of a load of crap and that and rust and everything, but it's come up all right. So pack it with grease now. So I want more fuel, and the TD5 injection system only gives it so much as standard. Now obviously you can get bigger nozzles, so I'll probably go for the 100% nozzles off dark side. So yeah, that'll give you more fuel, but it don't give you more fuel volume, yeah? So you're restricted on how much that can actually deliver, even though you're putting bigger nozzles on, because it'll only plunge so much fuel as it builds the pressure up and then releases it through bigger nozzles. So you can only deliver so much, even though you are getting more through the bigger nozzles, you're not getting enough. Now, obviously, like, I've gone through all the cams and the injection system differences between the 10p and the 15p in previous videos, and I've discovered that the cams on the 15p will actually put the plunger down another 1mm than the 10p cam, so I can get a little bit more thrown. It'll allow for that in the 10p injectors, so I can use 10p injectors, but it's still not enough. And then I thought, well, I made this funky machine where I can, you know, grind my cams and that. I could regrind the profile to give even more of the plunger depth, so that'd deliver a bit more fuel as well. But it's that abrupt, the angle, how they work. I don't really want to mess with that, because they can wear as they are and they're at a good profile. So if you start messing about with that, you're asking for trouble. So that's out the window. So this one is out to all injection pump companies and diesel injector companies. If you're willing to help me. Obviously there's the injector in little bits, what I've stripped down. And basically what I want and what I want to do is, that's the plunger, yeah, and in effect that is like the cylinder what it goes in, and then obviously that'll get thrown down by set amount due to the cam and the spring and all that lot. So I'm not going to mess with that, yeah. But what I do want, this at the minute is only 7mm in diameter, yeah. I want that 8mm in diameter, or even possibly 8.5mm in diameter. So I want someone make me one of them. I mean, I could spin something on the lathe, yeah, but like these tolerances in there are like microns. So I think they use like a cutting sort of powder to sort of, you know, get it to the right tolerances. So that's beyond me, even though I wouldn't mind having a go of it, but it's beyond all the equipment what I've got anyway. And then they'd have to bore this out, so they'd have to oversize that by 1mm as well, and then obviously match them two components. So who's willing to do that for me? Give me a shout. Obviously I'll pay you. But if it can be like a, you know, like a regular thing, I could sell them on my website to people who want them and want to do the same thing, you know, and that you can sell them on your website. So there's a lot of TD5 people out there who do want more fuel delivery, so it'd be a good thing, you know, all round, and helping other people out at the same time. So that is basically, it looks like it's one piece cast, that. I don't think it's got a liner in. I think it's the same material. So that'd need boring out, well, reaming out, oversized by 1mm from 7mm to 8mm diameter. And obviously, like I say, that remaking, that's just basically one piece as well. There's no drillings or anything. It's just got the spherical bit, which goes on to that bit, which that gets driven by the rockers there, yeah. And then obviously that goes within the spring there, and then it's just all built up with the injector, you know, and the nozzle on the end there and everything, all into that. And it looks like that in one unit, and obviously with the solenoid off as well. So who's willing to do that for me? That is holding me back for more fuel. That piece of metal and that piece of metal, that's all it needs. And then I reckon if you do that at 8mm, and then you get the 100% nozzles on there, I reckon there's enough fuel delivery there for over 400 brake horsepower. If you can, you know, obviously give the engine enough boost to match the fuel delivery as well. So that's what I need. So someone help me out. I'm sure someone's got the equipment and the know-how how to do that. Yeah, and if I can't do that or get that done, then I've got no other method of getting more fuel in there. So I'd have to go down the other route, which I didn't really want to do because it's a bit uncontrollable, but I'll give you a clue. That's a clue. LPG injection. So yeah, like diesels work really well with LPG injection, but it's got to be dead precisely controlled, because if it's not, things go boom. So yeah, you can get up to 50% extra power just by using LPG injection, you know, the liquid format, on top of a diesel engine. So you get massive power gains, but I don't really want to go down that route if I can help it. Yeah, so really, head-wise, that's done now. So that can go together, but a few things that's stopping me. Obviously, the injectors, I can do them afterwards. I can still put the head on and just leave the injectors out until they're done. Valve springs. So, yeah, going on about the cam lift, I don't know whether I'm actually going to bother, whether I'm going to do it on both the exhaust and the inlet. I might not even bother full stop. I might do a little bit on the inlet, but I did some measuring on the clearances and there's not a lot to play with, you know, on valve to piston clearance to be any beneficial, you know, like, so it's a shame that it's only a 2 valve head, you know, on the TD5. If it was a 16 valve, it'd flow a lot more, obviously, but it does help with torque though, you know, only having a 2 valve head. So that's one good thing. So if you can get the power on early, that'd be good. So I might, well, obviously I won't upgrade the valve springs anyway, even if I don't do anything with the actual valve lift. So even if that stays standard, I do what I do, an upgrade on the valve springs. So I've done a bit of research and I think the K series, I don't mean like the Honda K series, I mean the Rover K series, I think they're the same dimensions or very similar dimensions to the TD5 valve springs. Now, a lot of companies do uprated ones for the K series because obviously, even though they are renowned for head gasket failures, the K series, they actually are a good engine. So a lot of people still use them, you know, like hill climbing sprints and that, even to this day. So I might go down that route, get some uprated ones, do a bit of measuring on what the standard one is and then uprate them, just so I can keep the valves shut at higher boost and that. So I will be doing that anyway. And like I said, when you do some cam lift on the TD5 setup, with the rockers how they go, I don't like it how you get the tip of the valve where this goes over more than halfway of the valve. I don't like that at all. So I've even looked into different rockers because there's a lot of vehicles that have a very, very similar rocker to this. Some Nissans and other various vehicles. And if I could get the ratio, you know, like the pivot ratio slightly different, then I could gain it from that. But it's going to be really difficult to find something. I just have to buy loads of second-hand ones and keep measuring them because I can't find any info on that kind of stuff, no data. So I've hit a bit of a brick wall with that as well. So that's the head sorted by the injectors, you know, the upgrade that I want with the injectors. So then I can chuck that on. So obviously I've got the head gasket there. Just, you know, genuine L-ring one. That's good enough, that, because it's an MLS one anyway. The engine's ready. It's been ready for flipping God knows how long. Too flipping long. Got me head studs of Total TD5. Nice one for them. So they're going to clamp it down nice for plenty of boost. I've got the ARP nuts there as well and the washers which come with it. Various gaskets and everything. So everything's ready for chucking on. So when I get chance, I'll get it all chucked together, innit? Oh yeah, with the valves as well. They're actually a pretty good design, both the exhaust and the inlet. But I might just do a little bit of a back cut on the back of the inlet valve, which does help ever so slightly. Like I say, they're already a pretty good design as standard, but I think they might benefit from just a little bit of a back cut. So I'll probably do that on my grinder. I'll just set it up and spin it. a recommended angle. So that's for the valves as well. So yeah, so other than that, it's all ready to go, innit? But I think that'll do it for this video. So thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.